It would appear that the gaming industry has become one big gift exchange, with gaming consultancy agencies like Sweet Baby Inc. being passed around in game development like candy, either through the actual employees of the company or through Sweet Baby Inc. defenders like the one in this article from That Park Place. Sweet Baby Inc. defender who says every lever must be pulled to push LGBTQ+ agenda announces she's joined CD Projekt Red. Now, isn't that fascinating that we have someone who vocally defended Sweet Baby Inc. in the past, calling all gamers stupid for even suggesting that Sweet Baby Inc. goes into gaming companies and destroys video games from the inside out. She is now joining CD Projekt Red. She just so happened to formerly work at Insomniac Games, and specifically on the new Wolverine game that has been leaked into oblivion. There are gamers everywhere who now know far too much about that video game. And now it appears that this woman, who is not very fond of the people pushing back against Sweet Baby Inc. and their insane DEI push through intimidation, something that Kim Belair said herself, the CEO of Sweet Baby Inc., she's getting passed around like candy. She gets to go and work on Cyberpunk 2. Whatever your thoughts may be about the first game, we all know how it turned out when it first launched and the improvements that it's made over the past couple of years. I personally found the game to be fun, but also quite easy, especially if you build a katana character, put all of your points into reflexes. You can just breeze through the game. I just swing my sword over and over again. I plowed through the main game, plowed through the DLC like it was absolutely nothing. Even on hard difficulties, people get destroyed with the katana build. But anyway, this lady is going to be working on this game. Now, she did do an interview recently that Park Place points out here, and she said that everything must be done to push the LGBTQ+ agenda. She reacted to a GLAAD report bemoaning the lack of LGBTQ+ characters in video games, describing the report as heartbreaking. She also stated that the GLAAD report tells us something key. Games are a way for LGBTQ+ people to socialize, but it also tells us something heartbreaking, that LGBTQ gamers don't feel that developers are thinking of them when they design games. And this is a common theme that I see a lot of pro-trans, pro-LGBTQ+ writers, narrative lead directors, you name it in the gaming industry. They're all parroting this idea constantly. It's something that I have seen across the space, something that as of late has increased exponentially, it would seem. And in just a moment, I'm going to explain why I think that this is a growing problem in the gaming industry that needs to be rooted out, because there are several video games facing this harsh reality, that Sweet Baby Inc. and people who love and defend Sweet Baby Inc. are making their way through the gaming industry, leaving a path of destruction in their wake. And it's quite alarming. Now, I don't think that just because a game has a writer who is trans or LGBTQ, that doesn't mean that the game is going to be a failure, although because of those facts being present in the past, games have failed or at least suffered due to those things. And that is why I find this to be just a tad concerning. Now, we saw that Wolverine was going to be pushing Sweet Baby Inc. stuff hard. There's proof of that in this Grubs post that was also pointed out by another user, where they showed a screenshot of a Sweet Baby Inc. post. They have their tweets protected, so only people that they follow can possibly see what they're saying on their Twitter page. But they say thwip, so excited and grateful to say we're a part of the team, bringing Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine to life with the amazing folks at Insomniac Games. It's been a truly marvelous experience. So this person, Mary Kenny, has had personal experience working with Sweet Baby Inc., and she defends them to the death in this huge post with 12 parts of a thread. Some of you don't seem to understand how narrative consulting on games work, but don't worry, I do. Yes, this is about Sweet Baby because I've worked with that team and they're one of the finest in the biz, and that is something that we can all say without a doubt is a resounding lie. Kim Belair, the CEO of Sweet Baby Inc., has already admitted in the past several times in different ways that their company aims to intimidate the people that they work for in order to get what they want. They go in and they ruin these games either by intimidation or otherwise. They also reportedly try to charge game developers a lot of money to do those terrible things to the video games, that either race swap a character or add a bunch of social agenda dialogue, you name it, man. missions that don't make any sense, like in Spider-Man 2, missions that are absolutely boring and just pushing an agenda. That is the kind of thing that Sweet Baby Inc. does. This has already been supported by other game developers coming out and admitting what kind of experience they've had with gaming consultancy agents in the past, like the Moon Studios CEO, the guy who made Ori and No Rest for the Wicked, which are two amazing games, and they have said straight up the damage that these people do when they work with them. But this person goes on a tangent, calling all gamers a bunch of morons who have no idea what they're talking about. She says maybe the dev team has gotten a ton of notes from publishers' execs on things that aren't working in the game. Maybe the notes are all internal. The team knows something is wrong, but not how to identify to fix it. And then she finishes her thread when she says, this next part is key because some of you really seem confused. Narrative consultants do not get final say and they don't override the core dev team and leads, but there are many accounts who have contradicted this saying by telling other people that the gaming consultants they work with have caused either stress, they've caused friction, they've ripped up HR from the inside out. I mean, it's bad news all around. And Kim Belair said herself that they do this through intimidation tactics. So they don't have to have the final say. All they have to do is take these people to lunch and terrify them, as she says herself, into doing what they want, or maybe a bunch of bad stuff could happen. You know, your game could fail financially. A bunch of people may not buy it because they don't feel represented, and that could hurt sales. It could hurt your reputation and make you look like you're a misogynist and racist. You have to hire us. You have to pay us millions of dollars to do it too, and we're going to do whatever we want to your game. That is something that they have admitted, and we have seen proof of and testimony of from other game developers who have tried to dabble in this diverse, equitous, and inclusive nonsense. But she says Sweet Baby is not, nor is any consulting group coming into rec games. No, they're just in here to push an agenda that has been their goal all along. And if they don't get to push their agenda, you don't get to have a fun game. Those two things cannot exist in these people's minds. And that is why I believe that this problem is growing, because we see more and more game developers bending the knee to this. Now, this post from Smash JT came out today, and I did find it intriguing, but I'm kind of skeptical because IMDb has not been known to be a really reliable source of information. Now, when this was leaked, someone went in internally in IMDb and changed it. So there were a bunch of games here that were leaked allegedly by another user to show that Sweet Baby Inc. is involved in a bunch of games that are upcoming and were involved in a bunch of games in the past. Smash JT reported on this, made an entire article about it, and so I looked through some of these games. Now, I don't have 100% confirmation on this. It's still really interesting. I just don't think that this is 100% concrete. Some of the games that we see on this list have already been in the news cycle, and it's been revealed that Sweet Baby Inc. has been involved in many of these. I did not know about Hogwarts Legacy, but again, if this is true, it's pretty shocking. Indiana Jones, which is a new game that a lot of people are excited for. I don't really care for a first-person Indiana Jones game. And even before seeing that it could possibly be linked to Sweet Baby Inc., I was looking at the game and seeing that Indy was kind of taking a backseat to whoever his female companion is, and I just see a bunch of red flags. But I'm going to reserve judgment for when this game actually comes out. It's not going to be a day one buy for me anyway. There are a bunch of other games that apparently Sweet Baby Inc. could have been involved in. Gollum was one game I saw that I thought was pretty hilarious, since that game absolutely bombed. I think the studio that was working on it shut down too, which would be in line with Sweet Baby Inc. But what I find more interesting than all of that are these two titles right here, Gotham Knights and Gears 5. Why is that? Well, Gotham Knights came out in 2022, and it's already been established that Sweet Baby Inc. has been involved in that game. Something about this bothered me. I was thinking to myself, where have I seen this before? Because if there's one thing I'm constantly on the lookout for, it's what kind of connection Sweet Baby Inc. has to other games. Sometimes that means they can be connected to the people that are working on those games, even indirectly, and it raises a lot of questions. The people who made Gotham Knights, you see, hired a person named Ashley Cooper. Now, Ashley Cooper just so happens to be working on several games, a couple of which you may not even know about, but one of which I have been super excited about. Ashley Cooper is the senior writer of Iron Man from Motive Games. Now, this game apparently has already finished development, and so now they're just getting it set up for release and probably going to make a trailer for it soon. So Ashley Cooper was a senior writer on this. Now, it's like, Dread, why are you mentioning Ashley Cooper? This person made a bunch of anti-white tweets back in 2017 and 2018 talking about how toxic white males are, and now this person is being passed around in the gaming industry as well, getting gig after gig, being chosen specifically for their background in trans trans ideology and pro-LGBTQ plus ideas, they're going to be working not only on an Iron Man game, which doesn't make any sense considering the kind of work that this writer does, and they have already worked on Space Marine 2. This person was a senior writer. So who is Ashley Cooper? Well, Ashley Cooper is a man, but you may be confused by looking at the photo behind me. It definitely looks like a woman. This should tell you a lot about the kind of people that are working on these games. Ashley Cooper describes himself as a narrative chameleon. That's something that I see on this guy's LinkedIn page, on this page, and other people in podcasts that interview Ashley Cooper have said similar things. It seems that when these writers are hired, they have one goal in mind: to find some kind of way to insert their own ideas into games that already have established fan bases. You see, the argument for Ashley Cooper is that this person made a bunch of posts years ago, and so it's possible that this person has changed their minds and that perhaps they're going to go into these new video games they're writing and be fair and balanced and just try to make an entertaining video game. The thing is, I found a podcast that Ashley Cooper was a guest on, and he had some very interesting things to say, and I wanted to share those things with you guys right now. And let me know what you guys think of this.
It's not my job to be a fan of everything that I work on, but it is my job to respect it and to respect the audience that loves that thing or is going to love that thing. And that means getting down in the dirt and interacting with it like a fan does, and finding the things that everybody else likes, and then also trying to find the things that you respond to. And I found, like watching Drag Race is like, oh, like I really enjoy the comedy comedians. We got to make sure that we have, or the comedy queens. I was like, we got to make sure that we've got like a good comedy queen in our cast of characters for the game. And you find those things that you can grasp onto.
Now, what's interesting about what this person says is that right before he says this, he mentions the fact that he has a lot of queer friends that he wants to make happy with the video games that he helps design. And so he clarifies right here that his goal is to, while trying to be respectful to the people that he's making video games for, he also wants to find a way to insert his own ideas. And what he uses to reference putting new ideas into Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2, which is a game that he's talking specifically about, he refers to another game he worked in the past that he wants to try and transfer ideas over from. And that game is called RuPaul Drag Race Superstar. This is a game that he worked on, and he was a narrative designer for East Side Games when he was working on it. He's like, now I got to find a way to try and put these ideas that I was a big fan of into Warhammer Space Marine 2. And that's something that I see a lot of these people doing. It seems that they just can't help themselves. They're being hired to work on these video games. They just have to self-insert in some way. And I don't know if Warhammer Space Marine 2 is going to be a failure because of this, but I do know that the game has already been written, it's already been made, it's set to release very soon. It just went gold, and I'm actually pretty excited for it. The tough question that I have to ask myself, and other people have to ask themselves when seeing something like this is, are we still going to buy the game and play it after finding out that someone like this is working on it? It says that they're a senior writer. I don't know what kind of writing to expect in this game. So far, the game looks fun, and I'm willing to give it a chance. I really want to give it a chance. But this is something that we have to be aware of, and we also have to prepare for the possibility that when this game releases, there could be some woke dialogue in there. There could be dialogue in there that's pro-LGBTQ+. They could be trying to change the very lore of the game to service those very ideas, or they could just be the type of writer who puts in extra dialogue that doesn't even matter. It's not relevant to the rest of the game, and it doesn't really push a message. That's possible too. That's why the medium is a little bit difficult to navigate when you're trying to figure out if a gaming consultancy agency has destroyed your game, or people who support it are destroying your game. I do think it is possible that Sweet Baby Inc. is not only connected to Gotham Knights, but also connected to Space Marine 2 in some way. Either these people are supporting each other, or they just all have very similar ideas and they're willing to push it out in their own individual way. I see the connection between Sweet Baby Inc. and this game through Gotham Knights because of the fact that Ashley Cooper has worked on Gotham Knights as a writer. So this just reinforces the idea that these people are being passed around. All of these gaming studios are seeing an opportunity with ESG and DEI, and so they're taking writers who have already been a part of other games that have, by the way, not been very successful, and they keep hiring them on their new projects. CD Projekt Red has already stated in the past that they're going full ESG on their new projects in the future, so it should not be surprising that they hired Mary Kenny to work on Cyberpunk 2. I do feel it's important to note this was from September for 2023, so I think that we can be certain to expect something in Space Marine 2. I'm not sure what it is or how big it's going to be, but people should be prepared for it. And also keep in mind, Asmongold made a video about this guy too. This guy's main selling point on his own page is an organization that went bankrupt. It's called Dames Making Games. It went completely bankrupt last year. They're actually really deep in debt, like just so crazy in debt. They weren't getting a lot of attention. And ever since this person was on the board of directors for that organization, it just has not done well. It's probably why Ashley Cooper only mentioned this little portion on the left here in his podcast interview, Global Access Writers Program between Warner Media and Canadian Academy, because whatever this is was an absolute failure, but this is Ashley Cooper's website, and this is their main selling point. It's like, I used to be on a board of directors of a company that is just in the dumps now, and this is what they saw potential in. But what I really believe is that the people making these games hire people who they think can push a message that they feel will be beneficial when trying to get that sweet ESG money, and Ashley Cooper seems like an example of that. Mary Kenny also seems like an example of that, and that is why I took one extra look at this list with Gears 5 2019. Gears 5, okay, Gears of War franchise, one of my favorite franchises. I will tell you right now, I play a lot of Gears of War. Gears 5 is my most recent game. I just dominate at that game. And because of that, I've been super excited about Gears of War E-Day. The problem is Gears 5 is a pretty woke game. You have to play the campaign for yourself to be able to see how it's woke and just odd, but they've taken all of the characters that you used to love and they put them on the sideline and they make them all mentors so that this chick in this game, okay, her name is Kate Diaz. This person's name meant in the game that she was queen. So her name was literally queen in the game, and she was fighting the queen of the locusts. Like, I think in that game they're called the Swarm. And the whole game is about her trying to defeat the queen, and then the queen gets away and she's like, I'm gonna fight you, queen, in the future. And so they're probably gonna do a Gears 6 with Kate again. But by the end of that story, it was just two queens trying to slay each other. I mean, you do the math there. It's quite possible that Sweet Baby Inc. is involved in the new Gears of War E-Day game. I'm not sure. I don't have confirmation, and Coalition is not on Sweet Baby Inc.'s front page. And from what I'm hearing, it's really easy to edit things on IMDb. I know that I am on IMDb, and I was on a Valiant Renegade stream like one time, but now IMDb associates me with Valiant Renegade as if we work together. I don't think that this is a really reliable site, and most of these things on this list are pretty obvious, but Gotham Knights I'm confident about, and I am also confident about Gears 5 because that story just, it's clear that there was something Sweet Baby Inc-esque about that story. If that's the case, then Gears of War E-Day, which is a game that I am highly anticipating, may have those same fingerprints all over it. I'm hoping that's not the case, but this is why it's so important to look at who is developing these games and to make this decision for yourselves. Are you going to vote with your wallet immediately and not play this game, even though most of the people working on it may just want to create a fun video game, even if there may be only one LGBTQ plus writer on it or one person from Sweet Baby Inc. working on it? I mean, a lot of people have drawn the line in the sand saying that they won't, and while other people say that they will try the game and try to support it for the people who actually care, but also criticize and discourage the involvement of Sweet Baby Inc. or whatever they're trying to change about the game. That is a line that you are going to have to choose to draw or not. But what I am saying is that the gaming industry is clearly taking a stance right now. They're hiring these people, the same people. They're not hiring new creatives and ambitious people. They're hiring these people who have these trans and LGBTQ plus ideas, this idea of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and they're focusing on that, and they're giving these people gigs. Ashley Cooper said in the podcast that ever since he got that first gig working on Gotham Knights, it's just been endless gigs from there. And most of the time when he is hired to work on those things, it's because of his background, and that is something that he pointed out. His goal is to push trans ideology for the sake of his friends that he feels don't have a say enough in the gaming industry, despite the fact that he is being hired for so many of these projects. You can expect it from Iron Man, so keep your eyes on that game. This person's a senior writer on there. I imagine that they work on dialogue, they oversee sections of dialogue that other writers are working on, and they can make decisions like that. Even if the consultancy agencies truthfully did not have the final say, which they do through intimidation. All they have to do is warn them. That still doesn't change the fact that there are writers and developers who are also trying to push these same ideas, and sometimes they do have a say. So it's up to you as gamers to focus on what you think is important, what you think is actually a good video game, and just get the word out, and maybe we'll get more insight before these games release and before we're all opening our wallets and forking over a bunch of cash that we may regret doing in the near future. And that is all I've got for you guys in this video today. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you haven't had the chance to like it and share it with your friends, that would be awesome. And hey, if you're feeling ultra spicy, consider subscribing to my channel so that you're always up to date on what kind of thing I've got going on. I look forward to seeing you all in the next one. Later. Meow meow.